Yes, and I'm going to be addressing another question here. This question is from Musicman, and his question is, let me see, how can we be self-reliant and realize our potential? Depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem has eaten away at any potential. Makes you wonder how possibly you can get on in life if you are wading through treacle. Music man, wow, that's a big one. First of all, you are not alone. Many men and women, but because you're a guy, I'm going to speak from the male-centric perspective here. Many men are feeling what you feel. I felt that way for many years. One of the problems men are facing in this day and age is that the world is not welcoming of men or masculinity. There's no room for men to be inexpert at what they do. They're expected to be masters of being men from puberty with no mistakes allowed in this modern vicious judgmental culture that is sending a message to boys and girls that they're really not needed. The world will get on fine without you, and without a core sense of value and welcome there, all of us are struggling to feel worthwhile at first until we find the internal value system. So let me just finish what you're reading here again. Okay, there's a few things going on in there. First of all, you haven't eaten away all your potential. Your potential is still there. But as Jordan Peterson would say, if you continue to engage in habits which you know are detrimental to you, then as time goes by, your potential will be diminished. It depends on how long you keep it going for. From your image, you don't look like you're a write-off yet. You're not grey. You're not hobbling. There's still hope for you, brother. There really is. I really empathise with you. I have been wading through that same treacle for a lot of my life for the same reasons. Anxiety, I never really suffered from social anxiety, but certainly the anxiety of judgment, of feeling sensitive and exposed and vulnerable. And certainly a long time in depression and low self-esteem. Even though I knew I had things to offer and I knew they had worth, I still had to carry my own wounds of low self-worth and value and and turn them around. And that is self-reliance, and step by step that will deliver potential. In a way, in a very real way, while we're not alone, i.e. there's always people we can turn to, we also are alone because there's nobody else in our worldview and in our feeling state. We're the only ones that are there. And while others can empathise and offer support, we still have to get through the treacle ourselves, because the treacle is our own unprocessed feeling. A lovely artist friend expressed it beautifully the other day, which she said, depression is the opposite of expression. So depression is the result of so many unexpressed things. And they compound until they become this glut, a blob of dense feeling where we can't even pick apart what the individual things are anymore. And that has to be the way out. The way out is to start expressing not just the hopelessness of the current situation, but the stuff that will take us out of it, the unprocessed stuff. And when you're in the hump like you're in at the minute, where there is depression, anxiety and low self-esteem, you may well need some help. You may well need some mentoring or some coaching with somebody to just, or counselling, to just help you pick apart what is the sludge of treacle at the minute, so you can get a few individual threads that you can work on. And if you can work on them, those threads one by one, it will improve your situation. And everything you proactively work on will improve your self-esteem. Nathaniel Brando's book, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem, is very good to help you understand that self-esteem is not a switch that you flick on. It's a process. It's the result of a process of you living by your own values and being honest with yourself and with others. When you are true to yourself by being honest with yourself and others and taking action based on what you feel and what you've processed, then you will start to create the sense of worthiness and feeling good that comes from doing what comes from your innermost, doing what is authentic, doing what is true. And that happens one event at a time, one situation at a time. And for that, you need to deal with what's live. Don't necessarily go fishing for stuff, but as things come up, deal with them as they are live now. now. If it's there now, if you're outraged now, express it. If you're sad now, express it. Let it move. But to do that, you may, if you are engaged in any negative habits, any suppressing habits like substance abuse, alcohol abuse, too much porn, alcohol, gaming, or other forms of escapism, you will have to reduce those so that you can get access to your well of feeling, because those things are designed to suppress the charge for change. They will take the charge for change from you and leave you with increased anxiety and depression, because they're artificial outlets for spasmic expression for change energy, not skillful. And you need to start making skillful steps one at a time, one tiny, tiny, tiny thing at a time. Even if, as Jordan Peterson would say, tidy your room. I don't mean to be quoting him, but he covers a lot of this basic stuff really, really well, better than I can. My stuff is a bit more of the abstract, like draw some lines, make some points, listen to the feeling, listen to what you have received from the world and your environment. How is it you felt? And then make a point in response to it, but make it a true point. Don't run away from it. Don't medicate it and suppress it. Make it a true point. Make a real change, just one, even if it's tiny. And in fact, it must be tiny. If you're in the treacle stage, where I've been for a lot of my life, it must be a tiny thing that you start with, because anything too big you will fail at, and it will validate the low self-worth and the low self-esteem. And it'll put you right back at stage one. In fact, you'll go to -1 because you'll think, I was so right to feel crap about myself, And let's look at the evidence. You are in the age group where the #1 cause of death for men your age is suicide. Now, these are not happy men. These are men who are depressed, anxious, and low self-esteem, like yourself. But they didn't reach out, and they didn't dig deep to start to express the truth within them. Because that will make those that treacly feelings move. But it's about feeling like we've got someone to reach out to, or there's somebody there for us. So that's where I say sometimes help is needed. But it's not like, pleading to a psychiatrist or something like that. It's about taking responsibility for your feeling and saying, look, this is in me. It's a heavy weight. I'm stuck. I can't move forward while it's there. I need somewhere to vent. I need somewhere to just spill this out without judgment and without derision, so that I can be free from it, or maybe I can look at it. And this is what services like counselling are perfect for. But you have to decide what level of intervention and support you want and need. Maybe it's counselling, maybe it's mentoring, which is more proactive, where somebody will dig in and challenge you a bit more. Or maybe you just need to, you already know what needs to be done and you're just not doing it. Maybe you need to just get out and do the things that you already know need to be done, but one at a time. And this is gender work, this is masculinity work, where the charge for change is within you, but when you're not acting on it, it becomes compounded, and there was something I was going to say there, but it slipped my mind. It's because I changed the mode into talking about gender where I wasn't there before. What was I going to say about it being gender related? Because it's the charge for change, and you must deal with it when it's live. Let me see. Yes, I remember. It's because it's gender, we're dealing with the electromagnetic language here. And what you have got to overcome is your habit of resistance. Your resistance to doing new things. Your resistance to changing your habits. And the habit of low self-esteem and depression is a fixated habit of the mind and the emotions. And I found it in myself, I found that it was almost like a peculiar way of looking, like I would have an angle that I would look at where it would create this familiar feeling that was the hump, the treacle, there's no point. And when I realised that it was a fixated habit, that changed everything for me. But you must realise that you need the charge to overcome your own resistance. And when you do, you will develop capacity, electromagnetically speaking. This is why it's gender work. And every little nuance of capacity that you build to deal with your own resistance will grow your self-esteem. It will grow your self-belief. And one tiny, tiny iota at a time, you'll build up your potential, self-esteem, motivation, and your self-worth. Okay, I hope that was of some use. Thank you so much for your question. It was a very difficult one, I have to say, and one that's very close to my own heart and to my own life. If you've got any follow-on questions, pop it in the comments. All right, thanks for connecting.